Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, hey everybody, I'm back out on a very cold Monday. It is the 10th of February 2025 and just another great day, another great start of the week here at Giga-Texas. Now before we get into the main video, three things that I just want to give you a highlight on and to look forward to in the video itself. Now on the south side of the Colorado River, we see that third caisson well under construction today. In fact, we have the basic form, the excavator inside the form, and they've also been putting that initial ring around where they're doing the excavations to allow this caisson to sink down into the ground as they continue to build out its structure. Very similar to what we saw on the other two. Now, the second one on the west side of the South Bridge is getting yet another level of the caisson installed. I think this is going to be the final one, and you can tell by this image here what the forms look like, and as they are getting ready to do one more ring and put that concrete in. So that work is coming along pretty quickly. Now shifting back over to the south end extension of the main factory, take a look at that window line that they are now trying to correct so that it combines the original window line along the west side of General Assembly by that temporary platform and the new window line that is on the extension itself. They've removed a lot of the concrete panels, all of the windows, and it looks like they're doing an extensive amount of reconfiguration in that area. So continue to monitor that. The last area that I want to talk about, and this has to do with the major construction project that is underway up where the old Martin Marietta concrete batch plant used to be. Now we've been seeing this is a very high priority over the last week or so as they have been continuing to do a lot of earthwork. They've been lowering the overall grade. They've been removing the old concrete apron. Most of the superstructure now of that batch plant has been dismantled, and many of those tanks are on the ground, and much of that steel superstructure has been disassembled as well. And the activity is expanding farther to the north of that site, also to the west, and they've been working on the south side where that lined pond is. They've completely drained it. You can see the tankers that are near that pond where they're collecting all the water for recycling, and the pond is getting ready to have that liner removed. And just from a few of these other images that you're seeing as I'm talking, you can just tell how much this is really coming together as far as removing all of the old plant, getting the grade ready, and preparing this for that major construction that's going to include support facilities, a new security office, also a welcome center that hopefully will be open here for the public once they get completed. So that's it for the intro, a couple of things to look for. So let's get into the drone that's flying around on this very cold, overcast, and kind of misty day and see what's going on at the factory. As always, thank you very much for watching. So let's get the drone in the air.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Good morning from a very low cloud and cooler day here at Giga-Texas. We're going to start on the south end of the Colorado River, right here where the new caisson is being installed. Now, this is the third of what potentially could be 4 of them on this site. And with this zoom in, it gives you a good view of the scale with the workers, that outer ring, the inner form, and how they're going to be preparing this to build those rings that will then sink into the ground as part of the sunk caisson construction project. And you can also see some of the forms on the right-hand side of the screen and some rebar being delivered by those trucks. So they're really moving very quickly. So I'm going to bring the drone up higher. We'll fly back over the Colorado River. I'm going to head to the southwest corner of the main Giga-Texas site. And as we're flying over what you see on the ground, this is that ecological uplift that Tesla funded to restore all of this land once they finished this construction. Now, as we pass over River Road, we come to the material staging yard where we see all the steel corrugated pipes, some other steel items that have been delivered, and in the center of the screen, those transformers that are kind of specific to solar panels and battery storage. So that is something I'm continuing to watch to see if we see any movement of those over towards the main factory, so we get an idea where those are going to be constructed. I'm going to briefly stop here, this new clearing. I wanted to show you that there is ongoing excavation work here. It looks like they are using some of this dirt fill for other parts of the site. And we'll see that on the far northeast by the cathode plant later on for the batch plant renovation, or at least the demolition work that's going on. I did notice here at this material staging yard where we see all of these silver and blue wrapped packages in this fenced off section that there is activity today. And this is the first time I've seen this in a quite few months, and when they started bringing all this material in. Now I'm going to bring the drone down lower. We'll go over these pipes. You can see on the right those brown wrapped items. That's part of a stamping press that's in longer term storage. But all of these items that are being unpacked and moved over to the yard trucks to be taken to the factory for installation are all part of a new production line. And this is a good close-in view of what some of this looks like. Now, they appear to be modular, maybe handling items. I don't know exactly what these are. I was not able to see the labels or the manufacturer, but if you happen to know what these are, please leave some of your ideas in the comments of the video. But here's a better view of what these look like, and you can see the red and the white, and it looks like there's interior racks on the inside of these modular items. Now, we will see these again later in the video as they are being moved over by the main factory. But for right now, it's kind of neat to see that all of this production equipment is on the move and getting ready for the installation into the factory. As I continue to fly up to the north, I'm just checking in on this set of transformers. I've had some viewers count them up, and we're close to 200 transformers on site. Now, some of these are going to be used at the south end of the electrical switch yard. Some may be elsewhere. And I've had a viewer have a very interesting idea that as the Cybercab fleet comes online and they start the process of using them in Austin in June, maybe they'll be related to that effort as well. So not really sure, but I'll keep an eye on it. We're back over at the caisson on this side of the highway. As you can tell, there's another set of forms being put on the top. I believe this is the last of the rings, and then they're going to sink this in further. You can tell inside where the rebar is located, and they're just preparing for one more pour of concrete. And then once that is completely sunk into the ground, I think they'll be able to do the finish work that will be the structure we'll see on the top of the soil once that's all completed. So I'm going to fly along this road towards the Cyber Tunnel. Not a lot of activity right now. In fact, I would say, at least at this time of day, which is very early on a Monday, not really any production going on, which is normal. But I am looking to see if there's any noticeable uptick in the production levels of the Model Ys or the Cybertrucks. Right now, I would say that it's at a pretty low level. We do still see a lot of the original Model Ys being built, and of course some of the Cybertrucks. I still have not seen any of the new Model Ys over here on the outbound lot yet, but with deliveries starting to customers in just a few weeks, I'm expecting to see many of those new Model Ys showing up on this part of the site soon. Quick look at the superchargers and the canopies. Just some Cybertrucks. I don't see really any of the new Model Ys at all. Along this side of the factory, the test track is being used by a Cybertruck and a Model Y here on the north end, but otherwise not really a whole lot of vehicles here on the north side of the factory at this time in the day. I'm going to continue to fly up towards this material staging yard that has those tents. I do notice that they're starting to stockpile steel on the south side of this tree line, as you can see on the right hand side of the screen. In addition to that, they have a lot more of these containers, more of these red painted and gray painted items. And then, of course, the tents themselves. Overall, this material staging yard looks like it has been cleaned up, almost like it's either going to be shrinking in size or maybe will be eventually going away, but something to monitor. Now, we've come across the highway. We're resumed right over at the bottom of the screen where you can see where that treated water plant is located, where they've had some problems. And I think that's going to be tied into all the caissons that we see under construction. Here we see the load leveler systems have been installed into those 3 new receiving doors, the ramp for the Model Ys to come out of the factory, and we see about 5 of the older generation Model Ys that have just been manufactured, getting ready to go over to that outbound lot. By the flagpoles, the 2 fenced-off areas remain. All of the new Model Ys that were there on Friday have been moved away, and just generally, that's how it looks here today. So I'm going to fly to the south and show you the work that's going on with the window line that they are trying to bring together to join the original factory and the extension together. Now, what you can notice is that the window line on the left next to the temporary platform are 2 parallel kind of thin window lines, and then on the right you see this kind of blocky window line, and they will need to come together here. So what they've done is they've removed all of the glass, they've removed all the wall panels, and they're going to be doing some reconfiguration work to bring these together kind of in an architectural way so that the window lines blend together and it makes it appear like this was all part of the original construction. We do see some of the earthwork on the ground, the work that's going on to finish up this drive path underneath the glass structure, that black painted wall, and just how the entire glass side of the building looks. And of course, they've already put the white stain on the exterior concrete walls on this part of the factory. So let's go up and take a look at one more of the caissons. You'll notice that there's some Model Ys that are heading over to the outbound lot. I think some of them may be driven autonomously, but I really couldn't tell. But as we get to this location, this is the 3rd of the caissons. This one's already completed. You can see it's sunk all the way down into the ground. That gets it to its about 12 meter or 40 foot depth. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll note that yard truck bringing some of those equipment items that we saw being unpacked on the west side, and it's heading here towards this part of the factory to be put inside for assembly. So great to see that and be able to follow up from what we saw earlier. Now on the south end, this upper level section that has had the grass seed mixture or the spray placed onto that prepared ground surface. Of course, the gray kind of rock that's by the windows and the terraced by the 3 exit tunnels. So generally that's how it looks. I'll turn around past this light post and give you a view of the entire south end and how this is all coming together. And with the irrigation system, they're really starting to get the grass to turn green. So I'm looking forward to see what this is going to look like in spring when it's all in one color. So we passed by the southeast corner of the wall. Wanted to show you the chiller plant. You can tell a lot of vapors coming up off of the fans. That's because of the temperature. Also, there's work going on with the large pipes on the right-hand side of the screen. And then here the crews are preparing for the glass assembly to finish up the enclosure of the entire south extension. And they're working on some of those mounts that will be necessary to hold the glass when it is installed. So this is coming up very soon. Now on the ground, we can see some of the smaller glass panels getting positioned to be installed along the glass line, and that is tying in this glass line that was original to the factory to the extension to make it all look all contiguous. I'm going to turn back towards the chiller plant. Nice look at some of those pipes on the ground that are being prepared for more installation. And I'll bring the drone down a little bit, try to get out of the clouds, and we can see all of the vapors that are coming up off of the fan units on the top of the chiller plant. As I rotate back towards the main factory, this is just another view of the area where they're preparing for the glass on the left and the window line with the glass they're installing on the right, and how this is all coming together. Of course, this window line is very different than what we saw on the west side. So the two sides of the building are actually not symmetrical on this part of the structure. Now, the chiller plant itself still has the plastic on the ground floor, more of the earthwork and that drain pipe at the bottom right of the screen. And as I pull away, we get a very dramatic shot of Giga-Texas with all of these clouds coming up from the roof vents and also the chiller plant. And it just kind of gives it a very eerie, almost wintry-like look of the factory today. So I'm going to fly back to the north along this east side and showing you that lined pond where the drain pipe from the chiller plant is going. Also the original pond that's been retained. Some of the clearing that still has not had much change once they did that grade work. But I did notice something going on at the roof of the multi-level parking garage. So I thought I would come over and get you a closer look at what it is. And you'll note that there are some Model Ys with the racks on the roof. These are often used for LiDAR as part of their testing, data collection, and ground truth verification so that they have something to compare data to the vehicles for the Cortex to use for their training system. And this Model Y is getting ready to exit the multi-level parking garage, and I did see it later on driving around the site. So they are using this in a variety of different ways. I think on the roof they may be using it for parking testing. Maybe they're revising or helping to advance the parking features that are on full self-driving. Another look here at that material staging yard on the right with some of the items that are still waiting for installation on that south extension. As we cross over the sedimentation basin, just a nice quick view of the superchargers and that tent-like structure. I'll zoom in so this is what it appears like today. There are Cybertrucks that are getting supercharged here. I think those may be part of that test fleet that was doing HVAC extended testing on this parking lot. This small temporary platform is where we have seen steel items being delivered recently as they're continuing to do some more modifications inside this part of the factory. Here's a nice zoom in to the baghouse filtration plant, more assembly on the ground, some of the plastic wrapped items. You see some workers next to the plastic item with the tank, and they're just doing some final work on the upper levels. Now the melt plant itself is getting some interesting deliveries today. First of all, we see that red painted kind of a center post crane that's being prepared for installation in the inside. This accordion truck is bringing some additional items, some of which are in crates, and this is being unloaded near where we see the furnace loading system. Of course, that large gray kind of bucket that is used to help load that furnace as well. And here's just a nice overall view of what that baghouse filtration plant appears like with a kind of a zoom out, and then how all of these two plants are coming together here on the east side of the casting machine structure. I'm going to fly back over the power lines. I'm going to show you the conduits that are being installed in these vaults down by the base of the wall. And these, of course, connect up to the electrical switch yard and then work their way through to the roof and then follow the parapet wall all the way down to the Cortex supercomputer cluster. So that work does appear to be well underway now, with almost all of those connections seeming to be completed at this point in time. Now, as we fly along the north end of the building, a few things I want to point out. Some of the castings on the bottom left, the casting rack mounts that are waiting for more castings. These are the mounts that are used for painting of the bumpers, and all the ones on the left are for the new Model Y, including the mirrors. The ones in the center of the screen are for the old Model Y, and you can see some of the overspray. And of course, a Cybercab driving by, and that is a very frequent event today. I saw multiple Cybercabs, and you're going to see one coming up here in just a few seconds. But as we pass by 4680 cell portion of the factory, just say that most of the work is being done on the inside of the factory of this part as they continue to build out lines and try to ramp up more of the 4680s. Now, of course, here is another one of the Cybercabs. This is one of the stop points. You can tell that there's a tent in the background. They have these all over the site, and they simulate passenger pickup and drop-offs. And this is just one of those sites. And as I kind of pull away, you can also tell that it has to deal with buses and a bunch of other traffic. So it's great data collection. And the black Model 3 behind it is following along, collecting additional data, and that's used to validate what the cybercabs are seeing and what they are doing. And it's part of all of that data collection necessary to robust the entire system and also to continue to develop the full self-driving. Just a quick look at the roof here where we've seen all of the repairs. These lines are where the seams have been repaired. You can also tell that there's a lot of work done near the roof wall border on the left-hand side of the screen, that parapet wall area. So it looks like they've got most of this work at least completed and the seams repaired where they needed to be repaired. Now, as I come over the roof of the building, I'm going to drop back down where we see that Cybercab stopping at another one of the stops. And this is that tent again. And of course, it's being followed by that Model 3. And as it drives off to do more of its testing, I'm going to bring the drone up. We'll fly over this north end casting material staging yard, and we'll go over Tesla Road and follow up by the Megapack site. And what I'm just looking here is to see what's going on with the equipment and the trailers at the south end. Not really a lot of changes, but as I maneuver the drone and we look back towards the battery cathode plant and the die shop, we can tell that there is a lot of work going on where that Martin Marietta batch plant used to be. And I'm going to give you some extended views of that in a moment. But first, I'm going to drop back down and take a look at this clearing that's just to the south of the electrical switch yard. See the large section of conduit at the bottom of the screen with the risers, and this is going to be the main connections from this site to the switch yard. Also, the beams that have been placed on top of the plates and the screw type piers. Most of the trench work with the conduit has been completed, although it looks like there's some additional excavation work going on at the bottom of the screen here. And as we continue to fly around, we can tell that these center dump trucks are bringing additional fill dirt, and they're going to be using this to fill in the grade and make sure that it is all at the proper level across the site. It's also a good view of some of the risers near that center dump truck, and that gives you a sense of scale. On the left-hand side, in that kind of the rock that's in the square, that's part of the underground stormwater management system or drainage system that runs along that side of the site. Now I'll bring the drone up and pull away just a little, show you some more views of this entire site, how it appears and how it is coming together, and the comparison to the original Megapack site in the upper left-hand side of the screen. We can tell that some of the earthwork is extending off to the right, and that will eventually join up to where we'll see that extensive earthwork where the baghouse filtration plant is being demolished. I'm going to continue to fly up towards the south end of the switchyard where the control trailers are, and also that third new transformer. Does not look like there's any work going on here, so that means that it seems like most of the connections, and at least for this stage, all of the work here is completed, at least for this time period. As we fly further to the north along this dirt road, I wanted to get a quick look at the new concrete batch plant, or at least the renovated one. And this is what's taking the place of the other one that is being demolished. And it appears to me is that they have almost all of the equipment, all of the facilities. They even have one of the concrete trucks here, parking for the employees. And of course, on the right-hand side, these walled off sections with the concrete blocks that is used for the materials that go into making the concrete. You can see some equipment at work in one of these kind of bins right now, and just the amount of materials that have been brought up, and the washout bins on the right hand side of the screen, that lined pond, which is where the washout will be put until it can be collected and recycled. And of course, the main facility with the conveyor system, the hoppers, and all of the other parts that are needed to make concrete. So it looks like this is definitely progressed to the point where it can take over the operations, which is great because as we fly towards the southeast, towards where the old plant used to be, we can tell that it's pretty much almost completely gone. In addition to that, all of this earthwork to the north that you can see right in the middle of the screen has been added in the last couple of days. And overall, I think that they're going to extend this entire site from the battery cathode plant and the die shop on the upper left all the way over to where we saw that graded area by the switch yard. As I continue to maneuver around, we can also tell that some of the old ponds and depressions in this section are being filled with dirt to level this all back up. And in addition to that, over where the old plant was, we can see that the grade is being dropped back down. So overall, this entire section from where we are here all the way over to where you can see the electrical switch yard in the upper right of the screen is going to be all flat and level. And that'll be necessary for this major construction project that is going to go on here. That's going to be adding several support facilities, some of which are temporary offices that are going to become permanent offices. Some of the security, also a very large welcome and an activity center that I'm looking forward to, and I think that's going to make Giga-Texas a much more suitable facility for having large events and having the public come in for viewing and maybe even tours. But as I continue to pull away, this is a nice look at the earthwork that is underway and how they are flattening this entire section, some of which is breaking down the hills and others are bringing in dirt to level it all out. Now on the south end, that lined pond is almost completely drained. You'll see those trailers on the right-hand side of the screen. Those are used to collect the water, store it, and then transport it off-site so that it can be safely reclaimed and they can get rid of all of the contaminants that are in the water from the washout for the concrete trucks. As we fly back in, we can just tell that not only is the liner almost completely dry so they can start taking that liner up, but all the vegetation that used to be around this location is gone. And all we have left are these electrical poles and wires, and I think those are going to be removed here in the near future. As I fly over the last remaining portions of the batch plant, you can tell that the remaining concrete apron has all of the holes punched into it from the impactor. That's to allow them to break it up and move it off quickly. We also see the blue and white trucks with the drills. Those are doing soil samples. And again, that is part of the process to collect the data to make sure that the engineers designing the new facilities know what the ground strength is and the soil composition so that they can make sure that it's properly supported. As I continue to fly around the main structure, I can tell that some of the dirt is being removed here as they lower the grade to be moved to other places that are lower to raise the grade. Also see all the concrete that's being broken up here on the edge, more of those holes in the concrete apron, and then of course the superstructure, which is being dismantled. Now, there was some discussion amongst some of my viewers whether or not this would be dismantled so that they could reassemble it somewhere or if it was going to be completely demolished, and it looks like they're basically dismantling it so that they can reuse a lot of this equipment. So I think that helps answer that question that I've had from many viewers. As I come over closer to the die shop, just want to show you some of the materials, all of the rebar on the right hand side of the screen. And this is all part of that heavily reinforced slab that's being put on in the inside of the building. And then this is a very nice view of showing just how high the grade used to be here and what they are doing to lower it so that they can level it all the way across this entire section. Of course, a lot of the center dump trucks here helping to move the dirt from one place to the other for that grade. And we can see that water kind of that tank that's raised up. It says Ranger on it. And that happens to be the company that was first brought in to do the entire site preparation for the main factory. So it looks like they are back at work here once again at Giga-Texas. Here's a close-in look at the chiller plant, how it appears today. Some of the plastic is not faring well with all of the winds that we have had, but otherwise it looks like it is in operation today with all the fan units being in operation. Now I'm going to get up to a higher altitude, look back over towards that entire clearing where the old plant used to be, and just give you kind of this vantage point of what all is going on. This partially explains why we haven't seen all the asphalt in that triangular section of the dirt, because they were waiting for all of this to be cleared out before they tie all of this into one large mega structure. And I think it's going to be all connected on the ground so that you'll be able to drive from one to the other. The last thing I want to show you today is further to the northeast along this entire section, some of which we see some of the concrete that is being broken up for recycling. Some of it's just some dirt. We also see how they are leveling out part of this site, and over the last couple of years, this has gone from basically being hills and ponds from the old sand and gravel mine to rapidly becoming a large section that is going to be leveled out. Now, just some of the things I know that it's going to be built up here is there's going to be the new Harold Green Road that goes to go through this section of the site. That may be part of why they're preparing where they're preparing. But I also expect at some point in the future additional structures for Giga-Texas to be built. And this may be one of the areas that they will eventually build on. Certainly looks like they are preparing the grade here for something. Of course, we do see all of the concrete and the kind of the spoils that are left over from various construction projects around the site over the last several years. And the bottom left, that pipe that we just passed is a kind of an interesting relic of when Giga-Texas started. There used to be a baghouse plant over where the electrical switchyard is now, and that was the smokestack for that system. So that pipe is kind of one of the last remaining original items here at Giga-Texas. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, give you one more look at this entire clearing, how this area is changing significantly. And again, I hope that you enjoyed what we were able to see and talk about. As always, thank you for watching. Have a great day.